Okay, so we've had a very nice 24 hours in the market for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for a lot of the altcoins that we follow. It looks like this final leg of the bull run may be kicking off, and things are good overall, but of course there are a couple of sectors that we're particularly excited about. Certainly RWA, real world assets, and AI, artificial intelligence. But if we look at layer one chains, there are two especially that stand out. These are Solana and the SUI Network. Pretty much irrefutably, Solana was the star of the last bull run. It did a 171x. So far during this bull run, the SUI Network and the SUI token, they've caught a lot of attention. In fact, each time the market takes a hit and goes back up, SUI has the strongest comeback. And if you got into it when it was still below $1, then you're already up anywhere from 3 to 7 times. So we have a bit of a matchup here, and we're going to be asking the question, if you had $1,000 of capital, of dry powder, where would be the best place to put it? Into SOL, SOL, or SUI, SUI? Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest, SOL, SUI, otherwise, I genuinely wish you well. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor, which means by extension that this video is not official financial or investment advice. So let's look at the pros and cons of each project here, one at a time. We're going to talk about Solana at first and the SOL token, which, like I said, was the darling of the 2021 crypto bull run. And it's not hard to understand why that is. If you bought SOL, SOL at $1.50 and it went all the way to $260, you were laughing. Now, a lot has happened since, to be fair. Solana is still holding up pretty well, and it's had a pretty sensational comeback. Now, when I say a lot has happened since, that includes some dark times. And we'll take a look here at one of Solana's darker moments. You probably know what I'm talking about already. December 2022. That's when the price of SOL dropped all the way down below $10. And a lot of people completely wrote off Solana. That was an understandable reaction given all the problems that it was facing. But instead of dying, instead of capitulating as a project, it showed incredible resilience and strength and managed to bounce back. In January of this year, it reached its current all-time high of $293. Now, it had some help getting there because that represented the height of the meme coin craze. Not something that I was a fan of personally, but of course, Solana was very involved. Pump.fun was turning out meme coins like there was no tomorrow, and money was flowing in like crazy. For Pump.fun, for Solana, for all the meme coin scene, things were looking very good. Now, you may want to argue that that hurt the rest of the industry. That's actually an argument that I have in a lot of my private conversations, but whether or not you liked it, whether or not you approved, that is in fact what was going on. But all of that came to a grinding halt with the Libra disaster, Libra. That's when SOL dumped again, this time to just above $100. However, it now looks like the token is recovering pretty well. Look, it's up 11% on the day as I record right now at $172.5 or so dollars. And the uptrend seems to be pretty strong again. And as a project, Solana is also looking pretty good. It keeps topping all kinds of different charts in terms of the secondary metrics that we look out for. So that is very healthy. There is a massive monthly outflow of liquidity and developers, by the way, from Ethereum to Solana, as well as SUI. We'll get to that in a moment. But really, Solana keeps topping the charts in terms of weekly and monthly revenue and volume. So really, Solana is living up to its Ethereum killer reputation. In all fairness, though, and in my humble opinion, it won't be the one single chain that's going to defeat Ethereum. It's going to look like a combination of various chains and other factors. But that's a separate discussion, probably a separate video that you'll be seeing soon. But for now, let's talk about the price of the SOL token and where we think it's going to go. I got to say that tokenomics are not the best right now. The main culprit here is the fact, as a variable, that Solana has an unlimited token supply. That's never something we applaud. We're not big fans of these kinds of tokenomics here at Altcoin Buzz. Maybe it's not a big deal to you, but it's something that we kind of view as a red flag. Not a deal breaker, but just certainly not a good thing. It's a moderately negative quality to have in terms of your tokenomics. If you don't care about that, that's okay, but I always do bring it up when we see it in a project that we otherwise like. The other thing to consider is that Solana did, like I said, again, a 171x during the last bull run. It's not going to happen again. That's going to be impossible to repeat given where we are in terms of the market cap. I mean, $89.5 billion right now. We're not going to see a 171x, not even close. Realistic price predictions for SOL seem to range between $500 and $800. And that would be about a 3.3 to a 5.5, maybe 6x. So we're much more modest this time around in our expectations, but I would agree that those are realistic. And look, quite possibly that's too conservative here. There are all kinds of different opinions, obviously. Let me know where you think the price of SOL is going to go in the near to medium future. Let me know about that in the comments below. So that was the case for Solana. Let's now consider the case for the SUI network and the SUI token. And with this project, we're really looking at one of the most promising projects in this particular bull run. And by the way, happy birthday to the SUI network as a project. They just turned 2 years old. So I guess you could say they're in the toddler stage right now and are looking pretty good. Because really from September 2024 onwards, the SUI price started to rise. In only 5 months, the token price went from 80 cents to its current all-time high of $5.35. That was hit in early January. That's a good 5x, even more actually. Right now as I record, we're up nearly 6% on the day, sitting just below $4 right now with a $13.2 billion market cap. Like the rest of the market, SUI's price also dropped through no fault of its own in this case, but it has managed to come back more so than other altcoins with the biggest gains in terms of pump when the market does correct again. After going all the way back down to $2 in April, it's now finding that new focus around the $3.50 mark to the $4 range. During mid-April, the project started to pump again, and it's looking like it's gearing up for a new all-time high pretty soon, actually. If we look at the tokenomics here, they're much better when compared to Solana. There is a max and total supply of 10 billion SUI. The only downside here, arguably, is that we have only 3.3 billion tokens in circulation. That's a little bit of a weaker point, but I'd much sooner prefer that than an infinite token supply. So we have 33% in circulation. Not the best figure there, but we do have a fixed total supply. The market cap, like I said, right now is only $13.2 billion. So there is more room to grow here as compared with Solana. That's approaching $90 billion, as we just saw a moment ago. Recently, and as we covered, we saw SUI Basecamp in Dubai. This took place on the 1st and 2nd of May. And this was a cool event because there was lots of news that was generated, lots of announcements, very positive ones, which we covered in this video. Check that one out, by the way, if you haven't already. SUI also has various ETF filings under its belt right now. Canary Funds, for example, they filed in April for an SUI ETF. And then just a few weeks later, in early May, we saw 21 Shares. They filed for another SUI ETF. These are two concrete examples that really do reflect growing institutional interest in SUI. And across all kinds of important metrics, SUI is also showing a lot of strength right now as a project. For example, in DeFi, it takes right now the number 8 spot as I record. It was recently the number 9 spot, but now it's moved up to number 8. That's in TVL, total value locked across all chains. So it's number 8 there, but one sector where it's potentially poised to be really a leader in the industry is gaming, especially if you consider the SUI Play 0x1 handheld gaming device. That's sold out with 10,000 copies on pre-order. If you ordered one, then you should receive it by September. SUI has also introduced a game dollar. This is a programmable stablecoin specifically designed for SUI's gaming ecosystem. The market has been crazy over these past few weeks and months. We've seen a couple of huge liquidations of over $1 billion, a pump and dump recently, several, unfortunately. But SUI is built to last, including managing all these short-term fluctuations and all this crazy volatility and any other problems that the market has encountered. SUI has quickly become one of the leading altcoins in the market, and that's for good reason. SUI is killing it in terms of all the big sectors that it supports. So for example, DeFi, that's where SUI crossed $1 billion in TVL, total value locked, and is almost at $1.5 billion in record time. SUI is also the third largest blockchain by daily active addresses with almost 2.5 million real daily users. Walrus is changing the game in terms of decentralized data storage. Its token launch, WAL, is already successful. And then we have Seal making things even more secure and more private. And then there is also SUI Play 0x1. This is coming soon with almost 10,000 pre-orders so far. As a project, SUI even has a small but growing meme coin market. So if you're a meme coin lover, if that's your jam, you can check that out as well. If you have not used SUI lately, then come give it a try and follow SUI's X account for all the latest updates. Check out the links that you'll find in the description of this video below. So ultimately, where are you going to park that $1,000? In all likelihood, Solana is going to have a very good run here in this last leg of the bull cycle. However, like I said, I have to reiterate here, it's not going to do a 171x. Again, it's not going to do a 100x. It's probably not going to do a 10x. If we look at $800 as kind of a landing zone, that's a 5x. And I think that would be a fair expectation. I'd be pleased with that personally. This is such a big project. Its size, if you consider that, just limits the multiplication factor by which it can grow from here. It's just arithmetic. It's just math. That's what it boils down to for projects of this size. SUI is becoming a bigger project, but as it stands right now, it's much leaner and much more agile when compared to Solana. I've already pointed out that it's got a smaller market cap, and if SUI manages to reach just Solana's current market cap, that's about a 7x, just to put things in perspective. So SUI is about 7 times smaller than Solana right now. And if you multiply it out, the price of SUI with that 7x, let's round it up to $4 right now. 7 times 4 would be about $28. That's also not unrealistic. That's just matching Solana's existing size. At the end of the day, I'm not the most technically oriented person in terms of predicting future prices. I do plenty of my own analysis, but I certainly depend much more on news, current events, that kind of stuff in terms of my decision making. And therefore, just at a very basic level, it looks to me like SUI has the better chance to grow in price between the two of them. It's also got so much exciting stuff propelling it as a project. So I'd put my money into SUI, into SUI. If you disagree with me, maybe you prefer Solana, maybe you prefer another project, let me know about that in the comments below. Let me know why I'm wrong. Also, be sure to join our growing and lively discussions on both X and Discord. You can find those links in the description of this video below.